You're listening to the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
These promoters and they don't have bookers anymore. They don't have a wrestling mind trying to run the show. So you got guys going out there in the first match that are trying to get a job at the promotion and trying to get videos to send to other promotions. So they're out there trying to do everything they can do instead of working for the show itself. And I think that's a lost art in our business, unfortunately. And I appreciate you bringing it up.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And the thing of it is that if guys will just learn, I don't know, the big moves are great, but you got to also have all the other stuff in the match. You know, it's very, very important, and I'm sorry that it's got to be that way. But you see what they do. Me and Ivan Koloff had a wrestling school in the early '90s, and we knew that when guys came in on Saturday and Sunday to train, they had been watching wrestling on Monday night, whether it was the WCW or the WWF, and they wanted it to be just like that. And that was the era of the clothesline. Every match had 32 and a half clotheslines. And they thought, as long as I can throw a clothesline, and most of them looked weak, as Nick Goulas used to say, boy, that kick couldn't break an egg. And I mean, because, man, if your kicks look bad, he would say that to you, the old Tennessee promoter, that kick couldn't break an egg. And that was egg, not leg. I kind of stammered there for a minute. But the thing of it is that we would try to teach them to wrestle and get down on that mat. Think about this. UFC was one of the hottest sports in the country. And I mean, I don't know if it's waned or not. I don't really follow much. They've never yet jumped off the cage. They've never yet. They grab that hold. They work that hold. They move. And ironic enough, guys, I had an MMA business and had a cage. And I brought in Spencer the Kingfisher, and I brought in Sean the Muscle Shark Shirk. And believe it or not, those guys really wanted to be, I know Spencer the King Fisher wanted to be a professional wrestler. And some of the other guys that's doing the MMA wanted to be professional wrestlers. And they just, for whatever reason, they weren't, but they loved wrestling. And so, people's got to realize that you got to grab a hold to wrestle. And that's just not being done. And you guys sound like we're all in the same school and the same thought of mind, but they're trying to get that to the other guys. That's like, I'll tell you one story. I was at an event, and I happened to hit the ropes before or after the show, was playing with my son, and the guy said, Bobby, you don't know how to hit the ropes. And I said, now, you know what? That's the first time in 36 years someone's told me that. And he said, you got to learn to hit the ropes flat with your back against the ropes and reach back with your left hand and grab a hold of that bottom rope. And I tell you what, guys, I just couldn't believe it. Not that he insulted me, but I'm just thinking, man. And this guy's training guys and telling them to do that, and they think it's right because he's telling them that.
It's funny you say that, Bobby, but, that's half the problem. I train my guys to go 10 minutes in the middle without touching a corner or touching a rope. If you can go 10 minutes, tell a story in the middle of the ring without touching a rope or a corner, guess what? You got a chance of getting a job. Because, the bottom line is William Regal still looks for guys that can do that kind of stuff. So,
that's right.
And if you want to make a living at this business, work 10 minutes in the middle. Don't use the ropes. Don't use the corners, and tell a story and make it psychologically smart. Because that's what's missing. When you guys did what you did, it wasn't the moves were only a means to an end. The transition,
that's right.
The time between moves and the psychology was all the match. That was everything. And that's what told the story, and that's what involved the fans, and that's what made them emotionally invested in you. And now if you look at Monday night, and here's the problem is, half the guys watch TV, they're watching Monday night or whatever night wrestling's on, they're watching TV matches, and as well as I do, back in the day, there's a difference between a TV match and a house show match.
Yeah, they need to bring back enhancement guys for these guys. That way it'll establish finishing holds. You can't establish finishing holds if you don't beat people with those moves. If every time you do that, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Bobby. I was just going to say there's too much.
I was saying, yeah. Well, here's the deal. They need to establish finishing holds, and then that way guys can build matches trying to get those finishing holds on. But you can't do it when you got John Cena wrestling against the top guy each and every week. You see what I'm saying?
Sure,
definitely. And the same type match. I mean, exciting, yes, I guess to a point, but also at the same time, it makes it tough when their moves are not established.
Sure, and back in the day, only if you go to WWF, because I was raised not far from you. I was in upstate New York, and that's what I got on TV. And I got hooked at 9 years old when my mom screamed and said, "Oh my God, did my dad get in here and help this guy?" And I ran in thinking somebody was laying in my living room bleeding, and it was Fred Blassie jabbing a pencil into some guy's head, and he was bleeding all over the place. My mom's freaking out. My dad's like, "It's probably taped anyway." And I saw that, and you know what, Bobby? It wasn't the wrestling. It was the response of my somewhat reserved mother that said, "Oh my God, this is amazing. I got to follow this." And then I watched it, and you get hooked on it, and it just becomes, like you said, it's in your DNA or it isn't in your DNA. There's really no difference.
Right. And the thing was, it's like you said, we made the people believe that it was real. These guys will grab a hold nowadays, and they're too busy trying to prove to the crowd that they are with it, which I don't even know if they use that term anymore, but they grab these wrists and they got their hands sticking out, and I said, guys, make it look like you're grabbing the guy's wrist. I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's sloppy. There's a lot of light in the moves. Nothing's tight. Nothing's snug. Nothing looks believable, and that's the problem. You're listening to the Undisputed Wrestling Show on AngryMarks.com, and we are speaking to a man who is a legend and talks. Every single word is delivered with the passion of a true professional wrestler. You're listening to Mr. Bobby Fulton tell you how it is, how it's supposed to be, how it was, and how it should be again on Undisputed Wrestling Show. Bobby, we're going to wind it up with you. Would you like to add anything else?
That sounds good, brother. That sounds good. That's good. That sounds good. Thank you for your time.
You got anything coming up you want to push, Bobby? Any social media sites? I'll tell you, when you write the book, I'm first in line to buy a copy.
Yep, I'm busy doing that right now. I really took my pen and put it in hand, and I'm really going to do that. And that's about it right now, guys. I'm just trying to do whatever it takes. I'm just like everybody else. I'm 55, and I meant what I said about Tommy Rogers and Dr. Steve Williams. I joined a workout gym for the first time in 7 years, and I'm going into that, and I'm just trying to have the time of my life raising my two sons and everything,
Well, I know your sons love you and they respect you and they know what you did and who you are in the wrestling business. And, I'm 55 too, and I want you to know I have a wrestling school, and I took about 25 bumps tonight. Right. I had training from 4 to 6, and I go to the gym and hit it. And you know what, brother, you're going to feel like $1 million in a short period of time. And I'd like to do this. I'd like to get you back on in a few weeks or a couple months and talk some more with you if that's good. And I'll call you on the side this week and we'll chat. Sounds great. Guys, sounds great. You got anything you want to wrap up with Mr. Bobby Fulton before we go? Zane Paisley or Drew Skills?
Hey, Bobby. You had mentioned earlier that they brought you as the Fantastics in to bring the women to the crowd. Recently, one of your old buddies, Jim Cornette, has surmised his theory that that's part of the reason that the attendance for females at independent shows has gone down, because the boys don't interact with the ladies as much.
That's right. Yeah, well, I'll just tell you this right now. Years ago, I brought a girl to the matches, and Bill Dundee was the booker. He went out and said, "Girl, I want you to know right now, don't ever come back to the matches again." He said, "It's Bobby Fulton's job to bring the girls. And if he sees you walking in if they see you walking in with him, they're not going to come. But if they think they got a chance with Bobby Fulton, them girls will be there. They'll talk about the wrestling the whole time, all week long. And next week they'll come and bring more with them and say, look at this guy and that guy and this guy and that guy." A lot of wrestlers would bring if they did bring their wife, she might buy a ticket and set different places. Because, guys, I'm going to tell you a little secret. Years ago, if a wrestler brought a wife, she had to react to the matches. She couldn't be back there reading a book. Because when he was getting beat up, they would be looking at her, the fans would. And if she wasn't reacting, screaming, going nuts, then what would that say for the wrestling business if her husband's in there getting beat up, or a boyfriend? You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So when somebody got a hit in the head with a chair, the crowd would look automatically. You talk about a dusty finish, they'd look automatically to the women.
All right, Bobby. Yep. Listen, brother.
Bobby, can you give us your how our fans, how our listeners and your fans can interact with you and follow what's going on with you? Do you? I know that you have a Facebook. Can you give out that information?
Yes.
If you have any other.
Yeah, I got a Bobby Fulton Facebook. I got fantastic BobbyFulton.com, which I'm trying to get a little more active on that. I'm kind of computer illiterate. My son has helped me a good bit, Dylan. And, I'm just, they can get me that way, through, follow me through that. I'm going to write that book. I'm going to try to be out there. But hey, listen, I love talking about wrestling, and sorry I took all this time with you guys. I kind of got excited and really enjoyed it. But yeah, through the Facebook and through that, they can get in touch with me. And hey, I love the wrestling fans. I'm a fan myself, guys.
Damn it, I love Bobby Fulton. I got to say it right now. I love this man. Bobby, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
God bless you guys.
I'll give you a call this week. We'll talk.
Sounds great. You be good. God bless. Take care.
All right, brother.
You're listening to the Angry Marks Podcast Network.